It's a miracle of life. Except in your case, it's less of a miracle and more of a good luck buddy. You're a T-Rex, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, cracking your way out of that egg like it's the start of some triumphant journey. Spoiler alert, it's not. Welcome to the late Cretaceous period where the weather hates you, the food chain hates you, and oh yeah, life itself isn't thrilled you're here. Look at you, all wide-eyed and wobbly, adorable. Too bad that adorableness isn't going to help you. See those tiny arms? Yeah, forget about reaching for anything remotely useful. A predator with the grab range of a broken claw machine? Fantastic design. Excellent start. Not even one step in, and you're already eating dirt. That mud? Get used to it. You'll be face down in it a lot while you figure out how to not trip over your own oversized feet. And let's talk about that environment you're born into. It's not just harsh, it's actively rooting for your demise. Rain that feels like it's trying to drown you. Heat so intense you could roast a prehistoric marshmallow on your own misery. And volcanoes? Those are just nature's way of saying, hope you weren't planning on sticking around for too long. Truly, a paradise for a newborn apex predator. And then there's the welcoming committee, your neighbors, a lovely bunch of jerks who are either trying to eat you or steal whatever scraps of food you manage to scavenge. Yes, scavenge. Because hunting as a baby, T-Rex is like trying to win a boxing match with one hand tied behind your back. Oh wait, you basically are tied behind your back. You try to hunt your first meal. Precious. Except you're about as stealthy as a meteor strike and that tiny bug, faster than your stubby legs could ever dream of being. Don't worry though, hunger builds character. Or, just makes you really cranky. And that roar? Intimidating? Really? That's going to scare off absolutely no one. If anything, it's like ringing a dinner bell for predators. Come and get it. Fresh, clueless T-Rex right here. And here comes your first big challenge. Is it a predator? A landslide? A freak asteroid? Who knows? What's important is that you're defenseless, clueless, and freshly out of the egg. Survival of the fittest? More like survival of the luckiest. So there you are, little tyrant king, born into a world that doesn't want you, with limbs that can barely scratch your nose and a scream that sounds like a rubber chicken in distress. But hey, no pressure. Just try not to get eaten before lunch, okay? Adolescence, that magical time of growth, self-discovery, and tripping over everything in sight. You're a juvenile T-Rex now, bigger, sure, but somehow still just as clumsy as the day you hatched. The good news? You're no longer small enough to be a snack. The bad news? Now you're just big enough to starve on a much grander scale. Let's talk about food. You're hungry, always hungry. Growing into a 40-foot-long apex predator doesn't happen on an empty stomach after all. But hunting? Oh, that's still a disaster. That lumbering sauropod over there? It looks like an all-you-can-eat buffet, doesn't it? Too bad it can hear you coming from a mile away, thanks to your thunderous footsteps. Subtlety is not your strong suit. Oof, nice try. Turns out, being the king of the dinosaurs doesn't mean much when your prey is both bigger and smarter than you. Maybe start smaller? No shame in working your way up the food chain. Or not. Turns out, even the smaller meals aren't exactly lining up to be eaten. Between your lack of stealth and your stubby arms that are about as useful as a chocolate frying pan, you're really not impressing anyone out here. And then there's the hunger. It's constant, gnawing at you day and night. Oh, you thought puberty was rough for humans? Imagine going through it while needing to consume the equivalent of a small car every day just to stay alive. And let's not even get started on hydration. Finding water that isn't teeming with crocodile-like creatures waiting to ambush you is its own special kind of nightmare. See? Even drinking is a death-defying act. Every sip feels like playing Russian roulette with your life. Thirsty yet? Let's not forget about communication. You're growing, which means your voice is changing. That intimidating roar you're so proud of? Yeah, it still sounds like a dying kazoo. Not exactly striking fear into the hearts of your enemies, or anyone really. And speaking of enemies, they're everywhere. Other predators see you as competition, scavengers see you as an easy target, and herbivores? Well, they'd rather trample you than let you get close. It's a dog-eat-dog world out here, or more accurately, a dinosaur-eat-dinosaur one, and you're barely scraping by. We can't overlook your anatomy. Those arms? Still useless. Scratching an itch? Forget it. Hugging a fellow T-Rex? Not happening. Waving goodbye to your dignity as you fall down a hill for the 10th time today? That's about all they're good for. Feeling overwhelmed? That's normal. Growing up is hard, especially when the world around you is actively trying to kill you. But hey, at least you're learning slowly. Sure, you're still awkward, clumsy, and perpetually starving, but there's a spark of potential in there somewhere. Probably. A little bit of progress. You've managed to catch something? Sure, it's barely a snack, but it's a step in the right direction. Baby steps, right? Or in your case, awkwardly enormous, stompy steps that scare away half the prey in the process. And just when you think you've got a win, here comes the local bully to ruin your day. Sharing? That's not really a thing out here. If you can't defend it, it's not yours. Simple as that. It's all part of the struggle, my friend. Out here, you either fight for survival or accept that you're dinner. And let's be honest, you're not exactly built for diplomacy. At the end of the day, all you can do is find a semi-safe spot to rest and hope you don't wake up to the sharp teeth of an opportunistic predator. Comfort, security, those are luxuries you can't afford. So there you are, bigger, hungrier, and somehow just as unlucky as you were when you hatched. Growing up with T-Rex is no fairy tale. It's more like a grim survival drama where the odds are stacked against you, and the universe is constantly throwing curveballs just to see if you can handle them. But don't worry, you're not alone. Every T-Rex before you has gone through the same misery, and somehow they made it. Probably. So keep stomping, little king. You've got a long way to go, and it's not getting any easier. Behold the apex predator in all its glory. Congratulations, you've made it to adulthood. 40 feet long, 10 tons of pure muscle, and still about as coordinated as a toddler on roller skates. You've survived the trials of babyhood, the awkwardness of adolescence, and now you're here, ready to claim your throne at the top of the food chain. Except being at the top isn't nearly as fun as it sounds. Let's talk about hunting. Sure, you're bigger and stronger now, but so is everything else. That herd of herbivores, they've developed strategies. They stick together, keep sentries posted, and have alarm systems that make you wonder if they're secretly running some kind of prehistoric security firm. Hunting them is less like chasing dinner and more like trying to crack a safe while the safe fights back. And let's not forget, herbivores aren't just walking salads anymore. They've got weapons. Horns, tails, claws, and enough attitude to make you seriously reconsider your life choices. One wrong move and you're the one limping back to the bushes. But let's say you do manage to snag a meal. Great. Except now you've got to defend it. See that other T-Rex approaching? That's not a friendly, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Visit. Nope, that's your neighbor coming to steal your hard-earned lunch. Out here, sharing is for suckers, and territory disputes are basically a daily headache. So now you're in a fight. Not for survival, mind you, but for property rights. And let me tell you, these fights aren't glamorous. They're exhausting, loud, and there's a 50-50 chance you walk away with a new scar and a bruised ego. But hey, at least it's great cardio. Ah, the joy of adulthood. Bigger problems, same old struggles. Let's not even get started on finding a mate. You'd think being a 10-ton killing machine would make you a hot commodity, but nope. Courtship is just another round of awkwardness. And then there's the weather. Remember the good old days when storms just made hatching miserable? Well, now they're a full-blown existential crisis. Torrential rain, landslides, floods, you name it. Surviving one of these is less about brute strength and more about pure dumb luck. But hey, look on the bright side. At least you're not an herbivore. Those poor souls spend their entire lives chewing plants and dodging predators like you. Sure, your life is hard, but at least you're the one doing the chasing. Most of the time. And did I mention you're not always at the top of the food chain? Meet your friendly neighborhood Giganotosaurus or Spinosaurus, because nothing says apex predator like being bullied by someone even bigger. So here you are, fully grown, fully stressed, and constantly juggling the joys of survival with the burdens of being big, bad, and utterly unlucky. The food chain? It's less of a ladder and more of a treadmill. You're running constantly, but you're never really ahead. But somehow, despite it all, you endure. You adapt, you fight, and you make it work. Sure, life as a T-Rex is a chaotic mess of hunger, battles, and bad weather, but hey, that's just the prehistoric way. So take a moment to relax, big guy. You've earned it. Because tomorrow is just another day of surviving. And honestly, that's the real legacy of the king of the dinosaurs. Not dominance, not power, just stubborn, relentless survival.